stalker followed me from gym and I am terrified. I normally take a walk every Friday to attend my weekly Pilates class. It's a 15 minutes power walk from my apartment in a relatively safe city from Eastern Europe. I have never ever felt unsafe in my city and I wouldn't normally exercise caution when walking alone at night. Tonight, however, after the end of class I began my usual walk back home, and 5 minutes in and lot of corner cutting and alley shortcuts I noticed that this strange looking man is still following me. The first glimpse I got of him at that point was a young man in his 20s, incel looking, hat on, shiny elegant shoes on and a black coat. On a closer look he had a link chain, the kind of chain you use in heavy transportation and to pull heavy loads, around his neck. I instantly got shivers down my spine and changed my pace of walking to very slowly then very fast to check if he does too. He changed his as well and I could see from the corner of my eye he was still behind me. He was also on the phone and I got the feeling he was taking pictures of me. At this point I completely freaked out, but my first thought was that I was athletic enough to put up with this creep and that I need to stay focused. I was on the main boulevard parallel from my apartment and I decided to turn right in a very fast and abrupt way. He kept on walking and I thought I was just crazy and it was all in my head, but 2 minutes later he was still behind me. I must mention that there were people on the street at every corner, so even if he wanted to attempt something it would have been virtually impossible. When I reached my apartment I entered the house very fast, checked if he wasn't behind me and that was it. However, the scary part comes now. After an hour or so my husband checked our building's security camera and saw that as I rushed into the flat, this creep hid behind a car and stayed there for good minutes watching the building. Afterwards he approached the entrance and took a picture of the entrance and the address engraved on it. I am now scared he will start stalking me and my family. Gym stalker. One night I, 18M, was at the gym around 10 p.m. because I worked all day and my gym stays open all night. I was casually working out as I always have. Out of nowhere this very short Hispanic guy comes out of nowhere and asks me what I'm doing later. Thinking this is very odd I decided to ignore him and act like I couldn't hear him cause of my headphones. He kept asking me but eventually left. When I finished my workout I went into the locker room to get my keys and check myself out in the mirror. As I entered the locker room the guy was sitting on the bench staring at me, like watching my every move. So I skip looking at myself in the mirror and grab my keys and go to the bathroom quick. I can see he starts to follow me as I head to the urinal, so I quickly resort to a stall. When I left the stall he is still staring from the urinal. I ignore him and start leaving the gym but he still follows me. Once again he asks me what I'm doing tonight and what my name is, but this time I couldn't pretend to not hear him, so I just said, "Sorry man, I'm not interested," and quickly got to my car and drove away. A week later, I had work again this day, so I was at the gym around 10 p.m. and everything was normal. Was working out, saw some friends, and then I see the same guy from a week ago staring at me whilst laying against an empty wall. I try to ignore him but every machine or workout I do he starts to follow me. I stayed by some friends so he would hopefully not come near me. When those friends left so did he. So I thought I was safe. I get my stuff together and head out around 11:30. At this point my phone had died. I was a little worried but then I started to freak out because when I approached my car there was a rose in my truck's handle, driver's side. I actually started to run and went back in to get assistance from someone working cause I didn't feel like dying that day. After removing it I sped home as fast as I could. A few days after, I had a normal workout, didn't see him till I went to my truck. He was parked right next to me standing in front of his car. While I got in I could see him watching me the whole time. Now every time I go late at night he's waiting for me and asking me weird questions. I talked to the workers about this and they said he's not from here and is just trying to be nice. But I can't help but wonder why he doesn't get the hint when I tell him no all the time. I wake up hours early in the morning to go to the gym now. But when I go late he's still there watching me every time. What should I do? Another time there was a rose on my windshield and a phone wire wrapped around my handle. Hey, race a picture. Then more recently he added me on Snapchat. Ick, how he knows my name or how he knew what car was mine in the first place. My gym buddy, currently experiencing something similar at my current gym, which reminded me of Brett. I am a male. When I was around 19, I got really into weightlifting at my university's rec center. It was a massive complex with multiple weight rooms, 2 indoor tracks, an Olympic swimming pool, the works. I'd lift 4 to 5 times a week and often cool off with laps in the pool. One day in the weight room I was approached by a guy named Brett. He didn't look like a student, he was older, probably late 30s/early 40s, but very friendly. The rec center wasn't just for students, anyone could purchase a membership. Casual conversation is pretty common in gyms, and I was so naive in those days I didn't think anything of it when he asked personal questions. Like where I was from and where I worked, which was at a grocery store in my hometown, the next town over. I didn't see this guy in the gym every day, but it was common to run into him a couple times a week. We'd shoot the shit for a bit and I began to sense that he was interested in more than just saying hi. One day, he mentioned that he'd been by the grocery store where I worked but didn't see me there, and wanted to know what my schedule was. Despite my naivete, I immediately recognized that this wasn't normal, and that I didn't want to talk to this guy anymore. I lied and told him my schedule was different every week and got back to my workout. One day not long after I was walking into work start my shift, we started at 9 a.m., and he was there in the foyer just hanging around. He called out and tried to talk to me, but I told him, "Hey man, I'm at work right now." After that I didn't really talk to him in the gym anymore. Looking for me at my job was too weird and it pissed me off. He'd approach me and I'd just coldly say, "Hey," and look away. The final straw was one evening when I'd just finished swimming laps. The shower room was an open room with 4 shower stands, each with 4 nozzles pointing north, east, south, and west, so 4 people could use the same stand at once. No curtains, no partitions, which may seem odd these days, but I never thought anything of it since I grew up swimming at this pool. I was in there alone showering, my swim trunks hanging on the drying rack, when I glanced toward the doorway to the locker area and saw this motherfucker peeking around the doorway watching me shower. He immediately ducked back and was gone by the time I finished up and went to get dressed. I went straight to the service counter to report what had happened. I only knew his first name, but they seemed to know who I was talking about. Never saw him again after that.